Welcome to Rambam in Depth. Today we'll be discussing the Rambam Hilchos Sanhedrin, Perek Dalet, Halacha Yud Aleph. This halacha, the Rambam introduces a major chidush, a major innovation. He says as follows: if there was only one person who had Smicha. Now, the definition of Smicha, ordination, is that you were ordained by someone who was ordained by someone going all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu, who of course was ordained by Hashem himself. That is the real status of Smicha, which enables you to be a judge and to impose the fines that are prescribed in the Torah. Everyone else who doesn't have that Smicha only has limited authority in matters of Jewish law. They can't impose the fines of the Torah. So let's say there was only one person who had Smicha. Moshe Shnayim b'tzidai, he puts two other people to sit next to him. Then he can give Smicha to 70 judges at one time or one after the other. And then he and the other 70 constitute the great Sanhedrin, and they could give Smicha to others. That's the halacha. The Rambam adds, it appears to me, the matter appears to me, that if all the Chachamim, the sages in Eretz Yisrael, agree to appoint judges and to convey Smicha upon them, the Smicha is binding, and they may adjudicate cases involving financial penalties and convey Smicha upon others. So the Rambam says, Im Kain, if that's such an easy way of reinstituting Smicha, which at one point ceased to be performed, so why Lama Hayu Chachamim Mitztarin Ava Smicha? They shall yibotlo dina k'tasis miyisrael. Why did the sages anguish over Smicha so that the judgment of cases involving financial penalties would not be nullified among the Jewish people? Why were they so troubled? It's very easy. Just get all the sages together and they give Smicha. So he answers, because the Jewish people are dispersed and it was impossible that they all could get together to agree. And if you had, as in the olden days, someone who had Smicha from someone who had Smicha, then it's audacious kulan. He doesn't need the consent of all the sages. He can adjudicate cases involving financial penalties for everyone. Why? Because he was ordained from a Bezdin who had Smicha. So the Rambam is saying, in other words, that if you can't have the original Smicha, which means an unbroken chain going all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu, you could reinstitute Smicha by having all the sages in Eretz Yisrael agreeing on it. Now the Rambam concludes, this matter requires resolution. This requires further research, in other words. The Rambam is not definitive. He's not stating this absolutely, that you could reinstate Smicha. He's saying it's a possibility. It appears to me, but he's not ruling definitively on this matter. Now, this is in contrast to what he says in Pirush HaMishnayos. In his commentary on the Mishnah, the Rambam uses the argument that it must be that we have the ability to reinstate Smicha. The reason for that he gives is that it says in the prophet that God will restore the judges as they were initially. Well, how could you restore judges if no one has Smicha? The chain was broken. And you can't say that when Mashiach comes, they're going to give Smicha and Mashiach will give Smicha, because Mashiach himself, how does he have Smicha? How could he give Smicha to someone, and Mashiach can't change the laws? That's a very fundamental principle. The Rambam says that Mashiach is not there to change any laws. So the Rambam's argument is that there must be another way of reinstating Smicha. About close to 500 years ago, the Reish Samaches, the great sage in Sfas, Rabbi Yaakov Beirav, he relied on the Rambam's words, and he gave Smicha to a few people. They say to 4 people, maybe some say to 10 people. One of them was Rabbi Yosef Karo, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, and they in turn gave Smicha to others, to Reb Chaim Vital among them, and that lasted for a few generations of giving Smicha, but it seems that they never really took the Smicha as a license to impose fines, which is really one of the reasons why you need Smicha in order to be able to impose fines. And Rabbi Yosef Karo himself in the Shulchan Aruch writes that we don't have Smicha nowadays. So it seems that the reason they wanted the Smicha was not for the power that Smicha confers on the judge, but it would be a way of hastening the coming of Mashiach. That's one of the theories that propounded why they wanted to reinstate Smicha. But the institution of reinstating Smicha was very controversial. The great sage in Yerushalayim, Reb Levi, known as the Ralbach, he wrote a very lengthy discourse. Actually, he wrote 3 separate arguments, 3 separate articles to show that this is not really what the Rambam's opinion is, that the Rambam himself was not sure, and he changed his mind from the Pirush and Mishnayos. And as far as the argument, well, who's going to give Smicha if Smicha was interrupted, he says there's not a problem, because Eliyahu Navi was going to come together with Mashiach, and Eliyahu Navi has Smicha, and he could give Smicha. I'm just wondering why he has to resort to Eliyahu Navi. The Gemara says that when Mashiach comes, in the beginning, Moshe and Aaron will be coming back to life. And Moshe certainly has Smicha, and he can certainly give Smicha. So why is it only Eliyahu Navi? And also, it's not definite that Eliyahu Navi is going to come with Mashiach. According to the Tumim, it depends on how Mashiach comes. If he comes because we are leizachu, we didn't merit it, but it's the deadline anyhow, he has to come. He'll come with Eliyahu Navi. But if zachu, if we merit, then Mashiach will come without Eliyahu Navi. So one could use that argument. But at any rate, this was a major controversy, went back and forth, and it was ultimately discontinued. But the Rambam's opinion is still subject of debate whether the Rambam really changed his mind or not. Some say when the Rambam writes this needs resolution, he was referring to another aspect of the halacha, whether one judge who has smicha could give smicha to others. If you need 3 people who have smicha, and the Rambam writes there's a doubt. It was a doubt about this, and it was, and this matter needs to be resolved. Whether even one could give smicha. That's what the Ralbach argued. That's what the Rabbi Yaakov Beirav argued, and the Ralbach countered that. He said that was resolved for sure, that based on the Gemara, that you don't need 3 judges to give smicha, 1 is enough. So therefore the Rambam was doubtful about his chiddush, about his novel idea that you can give smicha if everyone in Eretz Yisrael agrees on it. Now, what is the power of all the Chachamim in Eretz Yisrael? So the Ralbach says, because we see from the Gemara in Baba Metzia, when the sages were arguing with Rabbi Eliezer about Tana Shalachnai, the famous oven, and when he said, let Hashem himself declare that I'm right, and they heard a heavenly voice said the halachas like Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua stood up and he says, Torah Bashamayim, Torah is not in heaven. The Chachamim were given the power to interpret the Torah, so the Chachamim have the power to give smicha if they all agree. Others say it's that if everyone agrees, all the Chachamim agrees, it gives them the power of the Sanhedrin. And to understand that a little better, the Sanhedrin, what is the power vested in Sanhedrin? The power of Sanhedrin is a dual power. It's the power they represent the whole Torah. They are the representatives of the Torah, as the Ralbach says, but also they represent all of the Jewish people. So to impose fines on people, you have to have the consent of the people. And the Sanhedrin represents that consent. So if all the sages, or according to Rabbi Yaakov Beirav, the majority of sages are suffice, agree on it, it's like the Jewish people have accepted this authority, and with the power of Torah and the power of the Jewish people combined, they can give smicha to others.